They told him there were no rooms left. But then someone else walked in. What they didn't realize was the man they turned away wasn't just another guest. He was a billionaire who could change their future in an instant. The rain fell in heavy sheets as Charles pulled his sleek black SUV up to the entrance of the Grand Horizon Hotel in Naples, Florida. Light from the grand chandeliers spilled onto the wet driveway, adding a glow of elegance. For most people, this hotel was a safe haven, a place to rest and feel pampered. But tonight, Charles didn't get that warm welcome. He stepped out of his car, brushing off his navy suit jacket. At 6'2" and carrying himself with quiet authority, Charles was impossible to ignore. His polished shoes clicked softly on the marble floor as he walked into the lobby. The fresh smell of lilies mixed with the faint aroma of coffee from the lounge nearby. Charles stopped at the front desk, greeting the clerk with an easy smile. "Good evening," he said, his tone friendly but steady. "I need a room for tonight. My flight was delayed, and I need a place to sleep before catching the next one." The young clerk, his blonde hair slicked back, a badge reading Evan on his chest, barely looked at him. He typed slowly on the keyboard, each key pressed deliberate. "I'm sorry, sir," he said in a voice that didn't sound sorry at all. "We're fully booked tonight." Charles glanced around. The lobby was quiet. The only sound was an elevator dinging as it arrived with just one other guest. He leaned in slightly, his smile unchanged. Fully booked? Not even one room left. Evan finally met his eyes, his lips curling into a thin smile. "That's right. Nothing's available." Before Charles could say more, the revolving doors turned and a middle-aged couple walked in, rolling suitcases behind them. Evan's attitude changed immediately. His smile brightened. His voice turned sweet. "Welcome to the Grand Horizon. Do you have a reservation?" The man shook his head. Evan nodded eagerly. "No problem at all. Let me check what we have." Charles watched, his calm slipping for just a moment. He saw Evan tap the keyboard again and hand the couple room key within seconds. "Enjoy your stay," Evan said cheerfully as they walked away. Charles cleared his throat, bringing Evan's eyes back to him. "I thought you said you were full." Evan's eyes flickered. The fake smile wavered. I meant nothing that would really fit what you need." Charles felt the truth settle in his chest like a stone. This wasn't about no rooms. This was about something uglier. But he didn't show his anger. Instead, he straightened his back and kept his face calm. "Thank you for your time," he said politely. Without waiting for a reply, he turned and stepped back into the rain. But this night wasn't over. It had just begun. Charles stood under the awning, the rain tapping above him. He stayed still, letting the cool drops calm him. He took out his phone, scrolling through other hotels, but his eyes stayed on the lobby doors behind him. Something about what just happened stuck with him, like a bad smell that wouldn't go away. He leaned against a marble column, hidden from view, but close enough to watch. He didn't have to wait long. A young man in his 20s, wearing baggy cargo pants and a hoodie, strolled through the doors like he owned the place. He looked tired from the road, his backpack hanging low on one shoulder. Charles watched as the young man walked up to Evan and asked for the same thing he had asked for just minutes before, a room for the night. Charles didn't need to hear the words. Evan's over-the-top nodding and bright grin told him everything. In no time, the man was handed a room key. No hesitation. No excuses. Just a quick check-in and a polite send-off. Charles pressed his lips into a tight line. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was deliberate. He stayed for a moment longer, weighing what to do. Part of him wanted to confront the clerk right then and there, to point out the lie in front of everyone. But years of handling big deals and tough meetings had taught him that sometimes silence could do more than words. Tonight called for action, not an argument. He got back into his car, the leather seat cool against his back, and drove off. The hotel's warm lights disappeared in his mirror as an idea took shape in his mind. This wasn't just about him. It was about anyone else who might have been quietly turned away because of someone's hidden bias. People who didn't have the money or power to fight back. Charles wasn't going to let it slide. Not tonight. Not ever. The windshield wipers moved back and forth as he drove through the rain-soaked streets of Naples. The slight hurt from being rejected didn't bother him anymore. Instead, it focused him. He wasn't angry. Anger wasted energy. He felt something sharper, a firm resolve. For years, he had built his success by outthinking people who underestimated him. Tonight, he'd prove once again that no one could treat him or anyone else with quiet disrespect and get away with it. He pulled into the lot of a small diner called Sandy's 24/7 Eats, its red neon sign bright in the rain. Inside, the smell of fresh coffee and frying bacon made him feel grounded. He slid into a corner booth by the window and opened his laptop. A waitress brought him a steaming mug of coffee without saying a word. He thanked her with a nod and got to work. For months, Charles had been keeping tabs on the Grand Horizon Hotel. It was part of a weak chain, and his team had picked up whispers that the owners were looking to sell. He hadn't paid it much attention back then. It was a small property compared to his usual global projects. But tonight changed everything. He called his lawyer, Lisa Reynolds, a tough, quick closer known for getting deals done overnight if needed. "Lisa, I want the paperwork for the Grand Horizon ready before sunrise," he said, his tone calm but firm. "Before sunrise?" Lisa asked, surprised. "Charles, even for you that's pushing it." "Make it happen," he replied. His voice left no room for debate. "Send the documents to my phone. I'll sign them right away." He ended the call and stared outside at the rain dripping down the glass. Charles didn't just want to buy the hotel. He wanted to send a clear message. Every action has a consequence, especially when driven by prejudice. The hours passed quietly. He reviewed contracts, made calls, and handled the details. By the time dawn painted the sky soft orange and pink, the deal was done. The Grand Horizon Hotel now belonged to him. Charles closed his laptop and let out a long breath. His coffee was stone cold, but he didn't care. The real change was about to begin. When morning sunlight glowed off the hotel's glass front, Charles stepped out his car. He wore a crisp charcoal suit and adjusted his cufflinks, eyes lifting to the building that had denied him hours ago. On the surface, it was a symbol of class and comfort, but beneath, it had ugly truths. Today, those truths would come to light. Inside, staff moved briskly to get ready for another day serving wealthy guests. Evan, the front desk clerk, was back at his post, wearing his fake smile as if nothing had happened. He didn't see Charles right away. Charles took his time, scanning the lobby with new eyes. Some of the staff noticed him, giving him quick looks that showed a mix of curiosity and a hint of worry. Maybe it was a quiet strength he carried, the calm power of a man who was about to change everything. When Charles finally stepped up to the front desk, Evan's polished smile snapped into place. "Good morning, sir. How can I assist you today?" Charles didn't answer right away. He calmly placed a sleek black folder on the counter, its corners crisp, the leather spotless. He flipped it open, revealing a neat stack of signed legal papers, each page stamped and official. Evan's grin twitched. Uncertainty flickered in his eyes. "I'm here to introduce myself," Charles said, his voice steady but commanding. "My name is Charles Rivers, and as of 6 o'clock this morning, I'm the new owner of the Grand Horizon Hotel." For a heartbeat, the whole lobby seemed to freeze. Staff members stopped mid-step, turning to see what was happening. The color drained from Evan's face. His usual smooth manner vanished, leaving him gaping. I don't understand," Evan stammered, his voice cracking. "I'll make it clear for you," Charles said, fixing his gaze on Evan without blinking. "This hotel now belongs to me. Last night, I got to see firsthand how certain employees treat guests, or rather, how they choose who's welcome and who's not. And frankly, I wasn't impressed." Evan's mouth opened, but Charles lifted a hand, shutting him down without a word. "No excuses. I don't need explanations. Your behavior spoke louder than anything you could say now." Charles turned his attention to the staff gathering behind the front desk and around the lobby, faces tense, eyes wide. "I run my businesses with fairness, respect, and inclusion at the core," he said, his voice carrying across the marble floor. "This place has fallen short of that, but starting today, that changes." The silence was thick enough to touch, but Charles didn't pause. Everyone here has a chance to grow and move forward with this new vision. except for those who can't treat every guest with dignity. Prejudice of any kind ends here. Evan's cheeks flushed bright red. He mumbled something under his breath, but Charles ignored him and pressed on. Your actions last night don't belong in this hotel's future. You're done here. Effective immediately. Evan's jaw dropped. He stood frozen, the finality of the words sinking in. Around them, some employees nodded slightly. Others shared quiet looks that said they understood. Evan spun on his heel and stormed out, his face burning with anger and shame. Charles didn't watch him go. Instead, he faced the remaining staff, the fear in their eyes slowly giving way to relief and maybe even a spark of hope. He knew change was never easy, but it was necessary. Let me be clear, Charles said, pacing a few steps so everyone could see him. His tone was firm but calm. This is bigger than what happened to me last night. It's about the values this hotel shows to every single person who comes through those doors. No one moved. No one dared look away. What happened last night wasn't just about turning away one man. It exposed a deeper problem, an attitude that has no place here. He gestured toward a young woman standing near the concierge desk, her expression nervous but curious. What's your name? Charles asked gently. Leah, she answered, her voice soft. Leah, he said, giving her a reassuring smile. You and everyone here will take part in training to make sure every guest feels welcome and respected, no matter who they are or where they come from. Leah nodded, and a bit of her fear seemed to ease. Others around her did the same, standing a little straighter, their shoulders loosening. But let's get something else straight, Charles continued, looking around at each face. I'm not here to punish good people for mistakes. People can grow if they're willing. If you accept these changes, there's a future for you here. If not, then it's better for all of us to go our separate ways. He let the quiet stretch for a moment, allowing his words to settle deeply in everyone's mind. This hotel, Charles continued, his voice calm but resolute, has the potential to be more than just a place to sleep or host meetings. It can stand as an example, a model of what true hospitality looks like. And with the right team, I have no doubt we'll make that vision real. He stepped back a little, scanning the room. The mood had shifted entirely since he'd first walked in. The fear and tension had given way to a fragile but growing sense of hope. I've already set things in motion, he said. A new general manager will join us next week, and renovations start immediately. Consider this a clean slate for everyone. He paused, letting that promise sink in. Then, with a small, genuine smile, he added, let's turn this place into something we can all be proud of. Around him, staff exchanged glances, some whispering, many nodding. Charles could tell they understood. The seeds of change were planted. In the weeks that followed, the Grand Horizon Hotel underwent a remarkable transformation. Crews arrived almost overnight, tearing out outdated fixtures, repainting the once cold walls with warm, inviting colors, and giving the lobby a new, welcoming feel. It no longer intimidated. It embraced. Charles wasn't the type of owner to hide behind emails and orders. He was there every day, talking to the staff, greeting guests, and making sure no detail was overlooked. His enthusiasm caught on quickly, lifting everyone's spirits. The training sessions became the heart of the hotel's rebirth. Experts led open discussions on diversity and inclusion, not as dry lectures, but as real conversations. Employees shared stories, examined old biases, and learned how to treat each guest with genuine care. Leah, the young woman Charles had first spoken to that morning, shone brightly. Her kindness and quick thinking earned her a promotion to assistant manager. I never thought I'd get this kind of chance, she told Charles during one of their meetings. He simply smiled and said, you didn't get it. You earned it. News of the hotel's change spread quickly. Curious former guests came back to see it for themselves, while new visitors arrived, drawn by stories of a place that had turned its reputation around. Reviews flooded in, praising not just the upgraded rooms, but the warmth and respect that touched every moment of a guest's stay. The Grand Horizon's old, shameful reputation faded, replaced by a new standard of excellence and fairness. Charles made sure the team's stories were shared publicly. He wanted the world to see proof that change is possible and powerful when good people come together for a better purpose. One crisp morning, Charles stood in the newly redone lobby, a cup of hot coffee in hand. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, gleaming off polished floors and fresh bouquets at every corner. Guests moved in and out, greeted with genuine smiles by the staff. Leah approached, a clipboard in her hands. "Mr. Rivers, we have the latest survey results. Over 90% of guests say the hospitality is the best part of their stay." Charles set his cup down, beaming. "That's what I like to hear, Leah. It's never just about fancy rooms. It's about the people inside them." As she hurried off to handle her next task, Charles allowed himself a quiet moment. This hotel had started as a business decision, but had become a lesson, a reminder that doing the right thing can change more than buildings. It changes lives, his included. Meanwhile, Evan, the former clerk, faced his own reckoning. Word of his dismissal spread quickly, making it hard for him to find similar work. Eventually, he landed a modest job where he faced daily reminders of how damaging prejudice can be. For the first time, he truly felt the weight of his past actions. Back at the Grand Horizon, Charles spotted a family walking in, a father, mother, and 2 kids. The father, who looked surprisingly like Charles himself, paused to shake his hand. "I read about what you did here," the man said sincerely. "It's inspiring." "Thank you." Charles returned the handshake with warmth. "This place is for everyone now," he replied. "That's how it should have always been." As the family moved on, Charles turned toward the entrance, a lightness in his chest. He'd built companies, gathered wealth, left legacies behind. But this felt different. This was personal. In the end, the Grand Horizon Hotel was no longer just a building. It was living proof that real change starts with one brave stand, and a belief that every person is worthy of respect.